Uh, GM, guys, feel free to drop a GM in the chat. If you don't hear me or like whatsoever, feel free to tell me again also. And I think we're gonna start in 10, 20 seconds. Hope you're doing well. I think this pump is really a cool pump. You know, during the summer, most likely summer pretty slow. We had a decent pump, and I think the coins we have betted on have overperformed the market. You know, Mog, Pengu, the convictions. You know, so that's pretty cool. So lagging a bit behind, but that was a bit predicted. You know, until I think we have the ETF and so on, it will lag a bit behind. But some very good opportunities on the market. That's the thing to look at. You know, I think that's what we discussed in the previous live. You know, is like really make sure you buy the coin at a good price when you are investing, right? Not about trading. Trading, you can buy a bit higher and so on, but still a bunch of coins very low. So very interesting entries. And then it will be, and so when the market will go up in the coming weeks or like more Q4, then the lives will be more about trading. We will more trade because the opportunities are more toward the trading side and less towards the investment side. So for Cookie, so of course, disclaimer, everything I'm saying is not a financial advice, right? But I'm going to explain you a few things about crypto, but make your research, do DIR and everything, and let's go. So feel free to drop your question in the chat. Hope you make good money. If you make good money, feel free to drop a comment also. But we had Cookie, you know, very strong product and very cool diversification, I feel, in the portfolio because it's like InfoFi stuff that bounced kind of like on the bid zone we had. And also, I think Alpha we did in the trenches live we did is like we were like having a bit looking at EVM meme coins. So now Mog is on Solana, right? So it's a bit cheating, but for people it's more like an EVM meme coin. And we swapped our bread, or we like let's not buy bread when it was low. Let's focus more on Mog. It was a good trade because it overperformed more than 100% against Mog against the bread. Sorry, Mog so overperformed bread, so it was a very good alpha. You know, that's the thing. Is like those small choices can make you overperform more the market. Then we had chaque. You know, I think I shared it in the trenches live. It went really like as expected. You know, we buy, we sold, and then we buy back lower. So these are like the best, stuff you can have in crypto when you buy. Token has a very cool pump. We are able to capture it, to sell, then buy back lower because you can buy back what you have sold and then I don't know, diversify the profit into another coin or like do VC or do something else. And if you keep doing that, that's how you build generational wealth. So that was a good one. Sorry, my laptop is a bit slow. Then we had Pengu. I think this is the alpha I brought from Token 49 Dubai. Is like Pengu IP was everywhere. Everybody was hyped about Pengu, about the plushies and all this kind of stuff. So that was very cool. And I think that's also the thing when you go to events, is like feeling where the market is heading. In terms of sentiment, in terms of what people are looking at, and try to not be too much, because sometimes I see people like, oh, this trade is too crowdy. So the crowdy trades can be good trades. You just need to front run them, in terms of buying, and front run them in terms of selling, And when everybody's talking about Penguin, like everybody's buying, this is most likely the time to sell. Hub.xyz, very interesting one. We'll discuss about them in the coming weeks because I think last year decentralized GPU was a very big meta. This year, like bandwidth and so on, is a very big upcoming meta. So we are going to discuss about that soon. But very interesting one. Recommend you to have a look. So we had the Pengu trade in trenches. That was a good one. Fluent ended up raising $2.2 million. Q42 was among the investors. We had a sale on Q42. Congrats to those who invested. We'll see if this one is a cook, but basically we invested among Echo, Native Crypto, TPC, and Wagmi Ventures. So some cool names. And now they will use that money for the testnet and everything. Very cool project. Very cool diversification. That's the thing also with VC, is like it diversify your portfolio, because let's say you only buy meme coins like on Solana, then your portfolio is like really correlated, and it's if nothing is pumping, then you are lagging behind and everything. So that's why it's important to have a diversified portfolio and try to do the best. Select the best meme coin on Solana, select the best utility project, select the best, I don't know, beta to Bitcoin, all this kind of stuff. And I had like some messages about, oh, I missed the pump. So if you missed the pump, come into Trenches group, join the group. It's a private group. It's honestly very cheap towards what you get, right? And look at the lives. Really try to be there during the lives, ask the questions, trying to build those convictions, and basically, nurture all of that. And then August, I think we'll have a bunch of opportunities. and so that's very cool. And of course, still a bunch of opportunities on the market of coins that haven't pumped, or that ecosystem that are just brewing up. So I think the two main things about this live is like how to generate alpha, and the second thing is focusing on some ecosystem. I think that's very important for you to focus on some ecosystem, because the biggest win will come from those ecosystems. Why? Because Sui will perhaps do like in a super big bull market a 10x, but some, and even perhaps a bit less, but some coin in the Sui ecosystem will do some 100x. I often choose the example of last cycle Binance Smart Chain. The guys who nailed BNB at a good price made perhaps a 10x, but the guys who nailed Sui, who nailed like Pancake, Cake, after that made 100x plus. So that's something very cool. So ecosystem, and second thing is about how to find alpha. So yeah, go follow Trenches. Honestly, all the guys who are in Trenches commenting, liking, I really appreciate it, especially that the account was like banned for like a bit weird reasons. Now it's back, and that's cool. And very cool trade made by the Trenches owner. So I'm not Trenches owner, plus $50K on Pengu. So we saw that he purchased after the drop. Very cool. He should have accumulated a bit more around here, right? But then he sold because he wanted to make profit, and that's it. Some coins you want to hold them a bit longer because you want to basically stay in the train. For some coins you just want to make dollar value profit, which is cool also. Just have to think what is in your mind and do that, right? So go follow Trenches. Thank you for all the guys commenting, liking, sharing. Always a pleasure. The more we are in this group, the better it will be. So I think now I will go into some tweets, and then we'll look at some charts, trying to check a bit that. So how to generate alpha? So I think one thing very interesting is like we should, in the Trenches group, list all the ecosystem that we have in crypto, from like Sui ecosystem to like NFTs, and split them and have some guys monitoring them. And second thing is like how to generate alpha. So what is alpha? Alpha is the thing that will make you overperform the market and make you more money. And so that's something very important. And so it's finding like a coin before it pump for specific reasons, buying it pump, you sell, you have made money, and you iterate that. Or it's finding some ecosystem that will basically have a lot of growth because you have some smart guys tweeting about it, getting some exposure there on DeFi or whatsoever, and then having some growth. And the goal is to beat the market. And so that's the thing. If you have some alpha on Sui and you figured out some good coins, and like Sui is doing like a 3x, and you have some alpha on Sui that make you do like a 10x, 20x, 30x, you have beat the market. And so that's something interesting. And so that's why I think, for example, Trump coin is interesting. Nobody is talking about it right now. People are kind of like a bit hating it. So we'll short it or whatsoever. And I think it will have like a pump. Why? Because Trump will talk about it and everything. But now we don't want to get exposure now, because I don't want to lock money on Trump, and the coin can go down slowly, bleed, and whatsoever. But I think it's an interesting one to monitor. And I think, for example, for Trump, when the mind share will go up on Twitter, that's the alpha, I think. And that's where like I think you can enter a trade and make some good money, right? So that's an example of alpha, is like monitoring the mind share on Twitter. That's the thing we did, for example, for Fiatcoin. We were like, okay, valuation makes sense. Mind share was going up. We opened the trade, and like we run it from like 0.3 or 0.4 to $1 plus. So that was an alpha. It's like looking at the mind share on Twitter. And that's why it's very important to look at Twitter. And so the first step to generate alpha to beat the market is to be on Twitter, be on Discord, be on some Telegram groups. For example, be on Trenches. Many people join Trenches because they want to have some alpha. And then you can look at a bunch of guys tweeting all day about some stuff. For example, he's saying never do day in the cat coin economy. So you know that cat coin represent a big part of the of the meme coin, I would say, mindshare or whatsoever. It's like, and so it should be like looking at all the cats in this ecosystem and being like, okay, what are the top buys, and buying them at the right time, combining that with looking at the chart and try to overperform the market based on that, And I know that many guys will just buy randomly some assets and be then a bit like, okay, why I have purchased that or whatsoever, because you don't have any alpha. You just buy randomly or just because one of your friends tell you to buy, right? And so here, for example, you have some meme coin, Nobody, Sausage, FWOG, Mog, the Bored Ape. I don't remember the name, like the small stuff on Bored Ape ecosystem and everything. And so, I think in the time of AI, some meme coin will just overperform because the IP is better. And so you can have also an alpha in the IP itself. So it's more like your taste or how you rate those IP. So that's another one, And so that's why it's very, very important. For example, you have some other guys that just share some technical analysis. So of course, when they shared some technical analysis, it's a bit harder because you have many, many guys sharing technical analysis. And I also told you to be careful because many guys are posting because they have it in their bag, which is okay, right? We are all trying to defend our bag or trying to cook for our bag. And you have some guys being paid to do that. And the guys being paid, most likely, it's a bit less organic. And so, I'm like, and then you build reputation. For example, some guys, you can follow because you feel they share some smart trades, and you'll be like, okay, now I want to follow more these guys on what he's posting and whatsoever. And then you have some alpha that are a bit more. So perhaps I'm going a bit too fast, but this is something very important. Like if you really want to make it during this cycle, you really have to think like that. The guys who think like that will make the most of the market and will beat the market way more than the other guys that just buy random stuff or like just do random stuff, right? And so it's up to you. I think to do the research and everything. So Solana said increase bandwidth, reduce latency. So that's the thing Solana is focused on, is like increasing the bandwidth and reducing latency. And that's something very interesting. You can do research based on that, and it will perhaps increase your conviction on Solana, being like, okay, what are the other chain layer ones that can increase their bandwidth? Very few, right? And so it's harder, and so perhaps you would say, okay, that's why I'm very bullish on Solana. I think Solana will make it more. And then you have a bigger conviction on Solana because you have that alpha. That could be true or wrong, right? But the more research you do, the most likely your alpha will be right. And that's how you overperform the market. Okay. Interesting one from CreatorBid. So I think we will look at the chart for bid. Interesting chart, I think. Yeah. So for CreatorBid, I think it's an interesting one. We had like some upward moves, super strong trend, super strong momentum. And the coin like topped local top at $0.16 and then went down, went up, went down. Some very abrupt moves. I think someone explained it on Twitter. It's a whale that exited the market. So for example, you wake up one morning and you're like, why the coin is going down? Is the project like, I don't know, less, not as good as it was, or it's just like one guy exiting? And you can look on chain, and a guy did the research for you. You just have to type bid on Twitter, and you will have the alpha of why the coin went down. So trying to explain what happened in the market. It's just a guy that exited his bag, probably because he made some profit. He's like, okay, I want to take my profit. But the value of CreatorBid is not lower than it was when the price was here, right? So that's something interesting. Is like, will the price will go back up just because like value is the same, and especially value, I think, has been up on CreatorBid on the agent sale they've made. I think it went smoothly and everything. So that's something, and you could be like, okay, I want to accumulate, or I want to post some bids. So I don't know if I'm going too fast. Feel free to ask any question. I will look at them just after. And that's how you build wealth in crypto. And so for example, for me, CreatorBid, I told you I have some bids below 0.09. Just I want to accumulate a bit more long term, slowly, looking how the price will get there and how it will react and everything. And so the guys who had like some orders perhaps at 0.09, the coin is up, I don't know, 10%. You can be like, okay, I take profit a bit on my trade because it was like a good like bounce, and I will repost my orders, and then it's a bit more trading, right? But once again, you're trying to overperform the market, and so you are in the mindset of you will make it. And then the amount of people who are staking their bid to grind those levels, So for those who don't know, like when you have bid, you can go on creator.bid, stake your it's not stake, yeah, it's kind of like stake your bid and grow your level, and with the levels you have bigger, like I would say, I don't know if I can call that perks, but you can participate to some stuff and everything, some sales and everything. So that's interesting. It's a way for CreatorBid to reward loyalty among their users. And you can also, for example, let's say you do a lot of research on CreatorBid. One super strong alpha about the community of CreatorBid is like the number of bid that are staked. And you can see that the price is only going up, which means that the community is buying bid, and because they trust the project, they are staking it, which is very cool, right? Because at some point, it can make the price go higher. And so we have all those stuff, and so yeah, you have the levels and everything, which is interesting. So now I have a few more tweets, and then we'll go get more into the charts. Yeah. So for Bonk, I will explain why Bonk overperformed just after that. These are a bit less important. And then we have this chart about altcoin season. So I think that's everybody, every retailer are waiting for that, right? Is like this altcoin season chart went up, during summer, which was kind of like surprising for many people on Twitter, I think, because they are like in holidays, but in trenches we grind even during the summer. And so it's going up very, very fast. I think very few times it went up that fast, after like a recovery, perhaps here, like in 2020. But yeah, I think the thing to keep in mind here is like, I think the market is just repricing. The market was a bit too low. And so it's repricing. And also a lot of smart money is trying to front run what will happen in Q4 with the rates going down and more liquidity probably going into the market. So that's the important thing to keep in mind. And so that's why I think the market is going up, these days. But we are mid-July. I think, in August, markets are a bit slower. So perhaps it will slow down a bit and most likely go up during Q4 or late Q4. But interesting thing. Another very interesting thing is the fact that crypto is back over $4 trillion. So it's an all-time high if we take like the whole crypto market, which is kind of like a decent market in terms of size. And so the total market cap is going up mainly because of Bitcoin like going up, and Bitcoin starts to be very big, right? So every time Bitcoin pumps $1,000, the market cap of Bitcoin is going up, and driving that. And the second thing is also new coins going into the market, growing kind of like the crypto market. So these are interesting things. And also about alpha, and that's why in trenches I was a bit like, guys, you need to spend more time on Twitter. You need to be more in the trenches because you have alpha everywhere. For example, I know a bit Ether, but I don't know it much, right? Or I don't have the token in my wallet or whatsoever. And here is the CEO. So of course he's like shilling his project, right? But a cool way. He's showing some metrics about basically the activity on his protocol, and like it's only going up, and it's going up like quite fast. So perhaps the price is not following, and so you have an alpha here of like being like, okay, I want to buy Ether because I think people will realize that, and so we'll buy the token, and the token will go up, and you are able to sell after that and make some money, right? So this is why alpha is everywhere. It's on Twitter. You just have to look a bit more and do a bit more research. Here I wanted just to showcase, because I think that's the thing we have in trenches is like, we can, because it's on, everything is public on chain. You can have a lot of data on like, is this coin more whale driven? Can it be cabal or whatsoever? And yeah. And for example, I GT'd a bit on Nobody Sausage, so I made some money, right? But I GT'd a bit too early because I felt the coin was a bit cabal, right? And so I was like, okay, but I think I should have done a bit more research, and I would have made a better trade. So that was it for a bit the tweets. So I think I will answer your questions and look a bit at the charts. So we have a first question about Q42. Do you have infos about the launch on Everich and Kesa? No, but I think it should be like in Q4, I think, but I don't have, they haven't announced the date. Pengu, how much of your bike should we sold by now? So when it comes to managing the risk, and that's why I'm trying to teach in trenches kind of like the principle of like how to manage the risk a better way, but not like, oh, what you should do precisely, because we all have different risk appetite, or different trades, I would say. So let's go on a clean chart for Pengu. Okay, let's go perhaps this one. Okay. So we are on Bybit, and so we had the listing. Token went up, then went down quite a lot. Sorry. Yeah, 90%. And so most likely, I think some of you like have accumulated, perhaps purchased a bit here, but we have accumulated, I think, around this zone. So let's say your average buy price for Pengu is about, I don't know, 0.12. Let's be conservative, right? Let's be very conservative. I think mine was lower. And the token is down 160%. So the token has overperformed. The thing is like, we are in summer and so on. For me, Pengu was a big part of my portfolio. Let's say I had 5% of my portfolio on Pengu. So it was a lot, right? But I had a very big conviction on Pengu. So that's why I had 5% of my portfolio on Pengu. So on my side, I have take profit. I think, I don't remember, but that's 0.2 or like in a zone here, 15% of my size. And here yesterday, and with the limit orders, I think I have exited half of my Pengu size. So now my portfolio is like 2.5% Pengu and 2.5% USDC. Just for this line. I want to keep a bag, on Pengu. Perhaps I'm a bit biased. I think the old me would have sold everything here, but I don't know. I want to keep a part of my bag on Pengu, but I'm out 50% of my position. So up to you to do the same or do your research or manage your risk. But it always depends, because let's say your portfolio is 0.5% of Pengu, perhaps you have to take profit a bit less. If your portfolio, and I know some of you have 10% plus of Pengu in your portfolio, perhaps you don't want to take profit, but I think you should take a bit of profit, either to buy back lower or just to rotate to another coin. So that's my idea here. Then Adrian is asking, what is the final take profit for Pengu? Hard to say. It always depends on the market and how strong the market will be. So I don't have an answer for that. So Julian, this summer rally is mint. I don't know what it means. And back summer after summer, it always been a selling moment from May until September. So I don't know what you mean by mint, but perhaps what you mean is like it's a bit unexpected that the market is pumping, which I think is cool, right? Because it's trapping a lot of many people are trapped. They were too bearish, I think, on crypto, and I know a lot of my friends are a bit sidelined. Or I know a bunch of guys from what I see on Twitter, they are sidelined, or they're like they have sold kind of like the way lower, and so they are a bit out of the market. And this is where you have the biggest rally in crypto. Why? Because if the market keep pushing, because you have more money getting into the market or smart money getting into the market, those guys will buy back higher, because they are out of the market, and at some point they have a lot of FOMO and they get out of their risk management system. So of course, I can't predict the market, but you can have some ideas of where the market is going and so on. And so that's why you have to manage your risk really a proper way. So I will discuss about pump, but before, what is your opinion on worthless coin? I don't know this coin, to be honest. Worthless. Is it this coin? I think it's this coin. So let me try to find out. 1.2 million volume, so I think it should be this one. So you can see that there is a lot of volume compared to the market cap. I don't know why it's only DLLM. Trying to understand. But okay, let's go on worthless USDC. So it's okay. It's been on. Oh yeah. So you know me. I'm not a big fan of those coins who are 6 months or younger, just because it requires like a lot of due diligence, a lot of research to check that. And so basically that's the thing. Like people entering like those coins because they've seen it on Twitter. You don't have any alpha, so how you will be able to make money, right? In the end, you will be just exit liquidity or just like being dumped on. So I have to look and I have to do a lot of research before buying it. And perhaps I will do a lot of research and the token will go up. But the thing we've said in trenches is like most of these new minted coins from Moonshot, from all these launchpads, it's negativity. So many cabal, so many scammers that you want to stay far of that. You want to be on organic coins. But perhaps worthless will become a very good meme coin, right? And so yeah. And so that's something interesting to monitor. And so you add it in your list, you start to look at it, and you say, oh, there is something on chain. It's not that cabal, blah 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 blah, and then you can build a conviction on that. So pump coin. So pump coin, it's very interesting because it's below the how you call that, the ICO price, I think now. Because it was 5 billion or 4 billion. I didn't want you to participate, so that's why I fumbled a bit. I fumbled generational wealth on pump. Oh my god, why is it so slow? Sorry, my laptop is slow because I have so many tabs opened. But anyway, so we had the ICO, token went up a bit. I think it's where like retail got super like excited about the coin around here. And then we had like one of the co-founders selling just 100K on chain. Everybody starting to panic, and the coin went down. The coin went down 45%. So you can only make this up in crypto. Like only in crypto you can have that, right? Especially that I think the guy sold when he could have sold like on some transaction, he sold on chain just to show like, yeah, I'm selling, and people get scared. Token went down, and yeah, I don't know. It's crypto. And so I think we are having right now like a kind of like a dead cat bounce, down 45%. It's a dead cat bounce. So I'm not buying here, but I think it's a very important one to monitor because I think we will have like an easy trade on either like playing a bounce or playing like an accumulation zone, because I think it's one of the not best product in crypto, because I don't want to say it's good, right? But it's one of the product in crypto that is used quite a lot and has a lot of traction. So it's an interesting one to monitor, and I think it will have a lot of volatility. So it's interesting, you know. So that's why my take on pump coin. Pump coin is a bit like Trump. These are like interesting coin to look at, or like to monitor. So Sol is underperforming. Do you see it stronger than ETH when it pumps? When it pumps, will start, and when it okay. So I think the question here is like, Sol is underperforming. Yeah, that's what a bit we were like predicting, right? I think Sol will keep underperforming, perhaps until like mid Q4, late Q4. So that's the thing also. That was an alpha, you know. Knowing that Sol will underperform is an alpha, because you have something you feel about the market, right? And if you are right, then you put a bit less effort on Sol and a bit more somewhere else, you know, and everything. Or it gives you more time to do research on Solana, on the ecosystem, build the tools and whatsoever, you know. So that's the two things I'm doing, and we are doing in trenches. But I think, yeah, for Solana, it's really underperforming for good reasons, I would say. And that's also an alpha I've seen during token 49, is like people hate Solana. Like, it's insane. Like, I was honestly a bit shocked at how people hate Solana, which is a cool thing, right? Because you know, at some point when it will run harder, because it's kind of like a hated rally. But yeah, Solana is a bit underperforming. I think it gives us more time to accumulate. I'm not buying here, but I think if it goes below $150, I will add some, just to front run the fact that if Solana overperform, everybody will need Solana to do some meme coin or whatsoever, and that's why Solana will go up, right? But overall, Solana is a very healthy ecosystem. As I think the field I have realized in the past few weeks is Solana is a super healthy ecosystem in terms of the dApps and how it's being used and everything, and that's super bullish, right? And the ecosystem is not that fragmented on Solana, which makes me very bullish. When on Ethereum, the ecosystem is a bit fragmented, and so it's harder to read. But yeah, that's for Solana, and I think we can have another performance coming up in few weeks, few months. So we will monitor that, because perhaps some of you like are a bit too much exposed on Ethereum and you want to rotate, and so you let your Ethereum bag run at some point. Boom, you move your Ethereum to Solana, or you take profit a bit and you go back to Solana, all these kind of things. And that's the two important things I would say in crypto. So then I have a question, but I will not. Okay, I can show it because there is some French in here. But like, is there a lot of signals in trenches with take profit when there is opportunities? So the thing is, like, most retails, what they want to see is like guys saying, okay, you have to buy this coin with this stop loss and with take profit. You know, I have worked in TradeFi, I have worked in many crypto funds, and that's not how it works, right? That's not how you build generational wealth. It's just like retail are convinced about that way, because most of the guys on Twitter doing that are scammers, or like they're selling, like, I don't know, weird stuff, and that's how they proceed to make you FOMO, because they want to make you feel it's easy, right? When actually it's not that easy, but it's not that hard too, right? And I think a bunch of guys from trenches can testify. They have made crazy overperform. I don't want to say crazy money because it can sound out of context a bit weird, but they have overperformed the market quite well with Pengu, with Mog, you know, with all the alpha we had in the trenches. And I think they have made way more money doing that than having some trades with like some take profit and like stop loss and all this kind of weird stuff, you know. Sometimes I'm doing it, but it's for like specific trades when there is like specific setup. And as I mentioned, you know, most retails, they like focus too much on trading and not enough on investing. And so I see all these guys trying to trade all day, but they don't have a good investing setup. And the market we have right now is more towards investment than trading. But in Q4, when the market is hot, it will be more towards trading. So I will enter way more trades with like enter, take profit and everything. But we have some from time to time to answer Adrian. But I don't want to shield it that way. You know, if you want to enter trenches, it's just like you want to find some alpha, build generational wealth, and yeah, you know, that's it. You know, and me, I'm just doing a live, posting a bit in there, right? Just doing it for the culture. You know, I'm not really like, yeah. Do you think FOG the Popcat will go back to buy zone in August? So Popcat and FOG are two really correlated meme coin. That's why I think those two are not moving. So that was an alpha, so we had. It's like those two are really correlated. So they move kind of like the same. And so for PopCat, I think he had like our buy zone is basically below 0.25. Will it go there in August? I don't know. Perhaps it's a 40% drop. Everything is possible in crypto, most likely. But that's for sure that I'm not buying PopCat here. And I'm not selling. I think we sold a bit PopCat around 0.45, to get back a bit of cash, and that's why it's important to take profit. And yeah, but perhaps. Same for FWOG, perhaps. I hope, because the longer the coins stay low, the more you can accumulate and the better the trade you make, Another interesting one, big alpha we had. So you can see that the alpha are not only about making money. Sometimes it's about being on the right thing. And so for Pepe, we take profit exactly here. I have the live, the proof, I'm not bullshitting. And we wanted to re-enter at 0.009. You have the idea. So no, we sold the local top. We were buying back the local top, the local bottom, and then it just touched the local top. I'm like, that's art, guys. This is art. And just here, when we take profit, we were like, okay, let's focus on other coins that will have a better risk reward and that will overperform Pepe. That's why we haven't bought back Pepe at the price, right? But you can see it. I won't say it's fairly easy to make money, right? But if you're patient, you do research, you make the thing, like it's way easier than buying random coin. Sorry, I'm looking at how much time I have left. Yeah. So folks might asking, what do you think of Relie and AXBT? I think let's discuss about AXBT because we have discussed a lot. We haven't discussed a lot about virtuals. So for AXBT, I think it's still look. I think I have the live when we are here, and I'm putting like it will take profit here, and like it will go down. So I have the live when I draw this white line when exactly activated, and I have the live where I think we are here, and I'm drawing the yellow line, which makes like bottom up down. So my opinion on the AXBT is like it has a very solid fundamental. Just is too expensive, and I think that's what many people see on Twitter is like it's not new. It doesn't have like this shiny new effect, and I feel it's a bit expensive. So what we say for AXBT is like we are willing to buy below 0.12. So like this blue line, which is quite far. And I think we will probably not get it. And when it's below here, I'm not saying that we buy here. I'm not saying that we will place some bids to buy. So we bought some here. We had a trade. Also, it was a good trade, but not the best one, right? Because it was a bit slow. And it's a bit slow overall because it's a high FDV. So AXBT, I think, strong fundamental. It's just like I'm not buying here because it's too expensive. So that's the alpha here. It's like I'm not buying AXBT because it's too expensive. Who's saying that on Twitter? Nobody, right? So yeah. Would you rotate AI16Z to something similar like virtuals or AXBT? No, I will not do that. I like the well done from Jesus Christ GC, right? Yeah, and sometimes we are wrong, sometimes we are right. But I think, the more and more we are on the market, the more we are right, the more we feel the market. And sometimes it could be some simple alpha of like, oh, these two coins will move like the same or will overperform later on, and that's it. And some alpha can be like, okay, I don't want to touch this coin because it's more about trading. And so perhaps that's the thing we should have shared in trenches is like the trade we've made on, I've made a small trade, on Fartcoin, but it's more trading. Once again, it's just like I feel retail are like so far in terms of investing that I don't want to share trading stuff because then I feel like I will share some trading stuff and then you will look at other guys and feel like, oh, I think let's do like I feel like he's like that's my account. He's a cool guy, and then you go on I don't know on Binance Future, like the guy tells you to go 20x, you go 20x, and then you burn your whole account, and then I feel a bit responsible for that, even though it's not me, right? So that's why I'm saying when it comes to trading, it's a different thing, right? Focus more on investing first. Make sure you are a good investor. You have your portfolio made the proper way, and then you can be a bit more active in terms of investing, and then going more towards trading. But basically, I had a small trade on Fartcoin, kind of like to follow the market. It was a bumpy one because very volatile. But that's the thing we say is like we felt that on Fartcoin, it will not overperform. I think when it was, 13 May, we were fully out, and I said it will not overperform, and that's why we were more on Pengu, all this kind of stuff. Then we have Pluvianox saying, how do you determine your entry zone? Depends the type of trade I'm doing. And there is too much alpha here, so I can't disclose. What is your top 3 meme coin that will pump really hard in Q4 25? It's hard to say because I have to rethink on like which are the one that are lagging behind. You know, for example, I think one of my favorite meme coin was Mog, but it already performed quite a lot. You know, and I don't want to buy it here, right? So yeah, you know, that's why, for example, Mug, I haven't took any profit. I think I have slightly took profits here, 5-10% of my size, very small, just to get a bit of profit, right? To secure a bit of cash. But I want to let it run, you know, for example. When I feel, you know, Pengu starts to be a bit high. So it will probably push, but I feel the risk reward is not optimal. So I probably want to rotate my Pengu toward other coins. And I can't leak everything because it's a public live, so I will leak everything on the live, on trenches. Yeah. So feel free if you have any other question, guys. But overall, BTC has a very healthy price action. We'll have some dips and ups and downs, but I think it's really the super cycle we are on, and it will keep going on. I think Q4 BTC will capture a lot of flows from TradeFi, which is very cool. Ethereum really overperformed. I think we'll keep pushing a bit. We also had some cool stuff regarding the fact that Ethereum ETF will perhaps have some staking mechanisms. That's why Lido pumped the last 2 days, 3 days. I think, yeah, but honestly, same for Lido. You know, I think Lido has been one of the bad trade I've made last year because it was like not moving a dent. But it sometimes happens. And so perhaps I'm a bit PTSD and I'm like, I don't want to buy Lido. But perhaps we have a trade on that. But yeah, I think Lido will be slow. So I'm like, huh. And anyway, you know, the staking on Ethereum for the ETF will benefit Ethereum. So I'm cool with that too, right? Yeah. Do you think it's a good idea to rotate my Tao to bid now? So that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. Why is it an interesting one? Because let's say bid was not linked to Tao. It's an interesting one because Tao is a bit lagging behind, and I think it's something that makes sense. You know, we have to look a bit more at valuation and the chart, but I think it's interesting. And the very interesting thing about Creator Bid, about Bid, so Bid is a ticker, and the ticker is very cool, by the way, is that it has a lot of, it's a beta to Tao. Why? Because they have a lot of things linked to Tao. Like you have part of the, I don't know exactly, but basically you have some subnets and everything. But basically it's like really linked. And if you were to get, you have a big conviction on Tao, you want to get a bit more exposure to Tao ecosystem, that makes sense. I think Bid is one of them. I don't see few other ones, right? I told you I'm not a big fan of like the subnet tokens and everything for a few reasons, but I think Bid is a very healthy one. So I think it would make sense. And so now let's look at the chart. So let's look at Bid USDT slash Tao USDT. So I already have an idea on like how the chart will look like, right? Oh yeah, and that's funny. You know, we did the live and we're like, okay, when it will break out, it will have a big move. It had that big move. You know, I feel I'm generating too much alpha. Even me, I'm not taking them, right? Because I don't have enough time. Yeah, it's a full time job. 12 hours a day to not miss anything from the market. And it's going down. So yeah, I think we have to look at the chart. But I think it will be a good time coming up to basically rotate a bit of your Tao to Bid. I think it's an interesting one. Not a financial advice, right? But I think that's interesting. It's an interesting one. I have a Tao bag that is a bit lagging behind. So for me, it's a very small bag because I feel Tao is a bit too expensive, right? But I still want to have it in the portfolio because that's an alpha. I have some whale friends talking to me about Tao, quite a lot. So I'm like, I need to secure a bag. Perhaps I'm missing something. So here the alpha is like, I have some whale friends. I'm not copying dumbly, right? I'm taking a very small risk, and they have reputation because they have shielded me some trades where I've made good money on that because I know they are smart. They are still monitoring the market. So, you know, it's like not dumb copying, right? And I know Tao, right? I have done a lot of research and I'm looking at the chart quite often and everything, right? But, you know, that's the idea. So Antoine is asking a question. What do you think about FWOG? I think I've discussed too much about FWOG. And what's the best free icons for the next 2-3 months? I keep that for trenches. Or you will have a replay for the live, Antoine. Yeah. I think we have done like a good tour. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the trenches group, guys. Happy to answer them. I think we discussed a lot of things. And to recap, the live of today was about getting back on some wins, getting back on taking profit a bit on some coins, making sure you have all eyes on everything. We generated a bit of alpha. And the two big things you should ask yourself now is practicing how to get some alpha. So it could be by joining trenches group, right? I have to do it because the trenches guy asked me to do it, right? So could be by joining the trenches group. I think another alpha, we had in trenches that I think very few people took it is like we purchased, I think, bleed podgy below 0.9 ETH. I don't remember exactly the price. I know I bought two. And Ethereum was below $2,000 for sure. And I think we purchased, I think just on Lead Podgy, we are up like 2x or 3x. And that's the thing, we're feeling the market, getting some exposure and so on. And that's the thing, I think. So first thing is like how to generate more alpha by joining trenches, by grinding more on Twitter, by trying to think smarter. That's how you will build generational wealth, by being a smarter investor. And we can help you doing that, right? And that's the thing in trenches I want to see. It's like people chatting about, oh, I've seen that. Not like, that good coin, aping. You will never make money doing that. And that's not the good way to shield to your friends, right? We have to protect each other. So being like, okay, I have seen that on that coin. Valuation makes sense, blah, blah. What do you think? And then we can chat on that and be like, okay, that's cool. I would be happy to follow some alpha on some members, but it requires some brain power, that's the thing. But we all have it, right? Second thing is like focusing on some ecosystem. And that's the thing I want to see in trenches is like having everybody focusing on one or two ecosystem. For example, we have one guy being on abstract. We have two guys in the trenches group being super focused on abstract. They will bring some alpha, like, oh, you have to do that. Some guys focusing on those NFTs, and you tell me, oh, Julian, I feel this NFT is a good risk reward. What do you think? I will go on that. And me, because I know how I will move Ethereum or how I feel Ethereum will move in the coming weeks, I know a bit the collection, I do some research. I'm like, okay, there is either a trade or an investment to make. We do it and try to have a take profit and boom. And that's how you will become rich, right? That's how you become rich. And that's why my handle is that's my quant, right? Because I want to make all of you quants. We want to become millionaire. I think some of you are already millionaire, right? But you won't become a millionaire. We are at the right spot, trenches, and that's my quant. Yeah, that's the thing I'm trying to do. And everything I'm saying is not a financial advice. I'm trying to make you think. And in the end, I'm just explaining few of the things I'm doing at a personal level and try to explain them. And I'm doing way more things. So it's just some things I'm doing is too advanced or it's too much like complex. And I don't want to give it to you because it can be used a bad way. And I don't want you to then lose money and everything, the thing I don't want you is like to lose money. I want you to make money, right? But yeah, to recap, how to generate alpha. First thing to start, clean up your Twitter, follow only the smart people, try to figure out that smart guys, do some research. By doing some research on Twitter, being like, okay, I go here. What are the lads saying about bid ticker on Twitter? Okay, for example, this guy explained the bid dump. That's the thing I'm explaining you. So you have to check, right? Don't take anything for granted. But let's say he's right. I mean, that's a good alpha. Okay, I just follow that dude, right? And the flow like water is interesting. And then based on that, you will have some smart followers you follow. Then you can be like, okay, what other coins do they have? Let's say Trump. So I type the trigger Trump. I think some guys know Trump coin better than me, right? So I want to look at it. Some traders, some guys sharing trading analysis and so on. Then you will have your smart follow. So that's the thing. First thing, you will generate more alpha. You join trenches, you do that, you share more alpha. We all have more alpha and we all beat more the market. And second thing is like you select your ecosystem. Could be like NFT on Ethereum, NFT on Solana, DeFi on Sui, DeFi on EVM, layer 2s, abstract. You have like 100 ecosystem in crypto. Focused on one or two. And I want everybody in trenches to focus on one or two to make sure that one ecosystem becomes hot, we can go on it, And that's how we will make it in crypto. That's how we'll beat the market. Quite hot. Me, I can't have eyes everywhere. You feel it. I have a lot of things on my task, on my plate, already. So for example, we have Yannick saying he's in the trenches group. I will dig more on hyperliquidity ecosystem. All the liquidity is moving over there. Very good alpha here. So I could find alpha for trenches. Yeah. You could be like, okay, I have tested Hyperland. I think there is an airdrop coming up. We want to farm it or we want to do things. Yannick is doing a tutorial, taking like 10 minutes, putting it on trenches. Everybody's happy. Like that's how it works, right? You have to give back, right? I think trenches is almost free. If it was me, I would price it at 10K the entry and I will filter based on that, but that's not cool because some guys don't have much money in crypto and they want to make it and, but yeah, and I'm not managing it. So yeah. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I hope Yannick will give me good alpha. Like that, the quant is also happy, right? But yeah, that was it, guys. Pleasure to have done this live. It was more a public live, so it was a bit different than usual. More explaining about trenches and everything. It's a bit of marketing, right? I'm being forced to do that by the trenches managers. That's how it is, right? But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to interact on Twitter. Post some stuff and see you next week for another live. And feel free to ask anything in the trenches group. Cheers, guys.